broke me down, it hurt me. I got hit hard when I was in the NFL. I played for the Broncos, and we was doing a swing pass, so I'm on a swinging outside, but they're running cover 2. So what that means is the cornerback just sit there. He don't got to go nowhere. So he's sitting there watching me swing out the backfield. So we swing out the backfield. He throws the ball in the corner, just sitting right there. So I'm like, oh, I'm either going to have to catch this ball or let him pick it and I tackle him.
Right.
So it's like, and that's all I'm thinking so fast. It's like
that's what and that's what's so amazing to me. Is that
you gotta be thinking about that so fast.
So I mean, for you to say you're looking at stuff out of your peripheral,
everything.
And you're seeing this stuff real time. Now, are you seeing it because the greatest, I started to study those folks, and that's what the podcast is about, those people that flow through life with that assurance of, the ability to do things that folk think, oh, they're super incredible, but they're not. Everybody has the same 24 hours in a day, right? Mm-hmm. It's just how you apply them. So, I mean, did things slow down for you? Did things seem like they were in slow motion?
It was always like that for me. When I would run the ball, it was always like I couldn't, like no crowd, like I wouldn't really hear the crowd or nothing. Like it was.
You was in a zone.
Yeah, like I would hear, like after I got done the play, I hear somebody, they was talking trash, like, oh, you ain't getting nothing this been, so that only lasts for like a quarter. But
Right. That's cold because that's where I was going with this thing. I think about one of the sports icons, Tiger Woods, and his dad. The Colonel, he basically only allowed him to take, if I remember correctly, 7 steps when he had a bad shot, and after that 7th step, he had to forget about it and he had to reboot himself. And so is life, and so is life with this particular podcast. And how many times do you think you literally had to reboot yourself after because I'm sure you didn't have every game. You said a fumble.
Yeah.
What did you do to reboot yourself, or did you have others? How did that work?
Well, say if I fumbled in the game, it depended on if it was important. Say if it was like different fumbles hurt you more, depending on when you get them. So
right.
If we going for the win and I fumble and we lose, that's going to hurt worse than me fumbling in the first quarter, and I still got to play 3 more quarters.
Right.
So, it's like...
Because it's in your head.
Depending on when you fumble, yeah. Because it start messing with you then. Then once you get in your head, you're like, oh, you carrying the ball a little different, you holding it different, a little tighter, so...
So what do you say to folks, man, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but, I mean, that's perfect because, we talked about it on the podcast before, and we had a great quote behind it that, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. And what happens is that fumble is painful, but you can continue the rest of the 3 quarters that's left in that game. That's optional. So have you had a situation and where, and I'd like to know, like, okay, this right here, this thought,
just broke down?
Just where you just broke down, or either whether you overcame it, and you.
That's kind of tough. Just like when a lot of people ask me, like, yeah, what was your dream? What was your dream you ever dreamed younger? So I was like, I was able to meet my dreams, and people were like, what? I'm like, yeah, a lot of people don't get to meet their dreams. So my dream was I'm talking about since I was 3, maybe 4, and I watched football. My dream was to go to the NFL. So I always, no matter what, I always thought I was going to the NFL. Even if I was like the biggest dude on the team, I didn't care. But I knew I was kind of different because I was fast as everybody. I was faster than the little kids. So I'm like, the little guys we played with, I could run right with them. So I'm like, oh. So I started getting picked first too. I'm like, I'm getting picked first. Like, what?
Wow, that's interesting.
I'm that good. I get picked first now. Okay.
So I didn't know that you were such a football fan, as a child, and then for it to get embedded in your head like that's awesome.
But I was so ingrained in my head that I never really watched any college football growing up.
Oh, so you always watch pro?
Yep, all the time. I ain't know nothing about the Heisman. I ain't know nothing about a whole bunch of things, that you're supposed to do. I'm like, man, I thought once you get out of high school, you go straight to the league. I'm like, So I figured that out.
Well, you had a great high school career, so I mean, I'm sure you learned that as you started getting toward the collegiate experience that you had to go by way of college. Wow, this is good, brother. This is really, really good. I know I got a couple of folks that want to call in. I'm gonna patch them in here in a few.
Okay.
The best college career. Let's see here. I'm trying to. Do you have? You know, one of the questions I thought this was really, really good is coaches, and I know we know who you're. You know, you were at the Giants, and then of course. You, of course, coming out of Wisconsin and Alvarez, and I know you guys have a wonderful relationship. Who is your greatest coach, you know, outside of Alvarez, and why? That was one of the questions.
Oh, well, I have actually two. I still talk to my track coach, Coach Larry Brown from Jersey. He was my track coach, and I still talk to him to this day. And then my running back coach when I played for Denver, and his name is Bobby Taylor. So,
okay.
He's still coach right now. He was the running back coach for San Francisco.
Gotcha.
So these last years.
Perfect. Perfect. So I am looking here to see there's more questions flowing in. But I think I'm going to also, Ron, before I patch in a caller, is let the folks know how I know so much about the Great Dane. And how I know so much about the Great Dane, folks, is this is my little cousin. And I was able to have the... Absolutely. I love you, B. And
man. You too, you know it, man. I'm like, we used to try to follow y'all around all the time.
Absolutely. So it just amazes me what you've accomplished throughout your year, throughout your career. I mean, your years, your career. You know, and I say I didn't know that you love football. I remember going to your YMCA game, Pop Warner, in Lynchburg, Virginia, and you took off. And I'm sitting there thinking, and you know, because you know I was fast, you know, I ran track, played football, and I'm looking at you, and you're like lightning. And I'm like, yo, what the, you know, what I mean, I'm like, where and you when you talk about you didn't mind whether you were the biggest kid or the smallest kid. And I can also go as far as to say this as well, is that I had a guy that played at Syracuse, Antoine Pons, and he made it to the league as well for a short stint. But he said, yo, and he was working for me at the time. I remember. Anyway, when I went to see you play in the Meadowlands, and when you was in college, and he was at that game.
That's when we played Syracuse, and they whooped us.
Yep. And he said he remember hitting you, and he said when I hit him, I knew I had him. And he's like, I got the Great Dane, and then he said you ran right through him, and he said all I had was his leg. He thought he had your waist. And I thought, I said, "Oh, that is cold. That is cold. But yeah, I'm gonna see if I can patch a caller in and let them get a question in, and we'll see what they got going on. But I wanted to thank you in advance for joining me, Cuzzo. Absolutely for this. Absolutely, especially for this pre-Super Bowl. Who you got?
Oh, man, it's a toughie, but I think I'm going with the Bengals, man.
Really?
Let's go with the Bengals, man.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. Oh. Well, I just let him know he can give me another call back. But while doing that, again, we just want to remind folk that you definitely are the CEO of your own, of you Incorporated. How that looks at the responsibilities remain the same. Get rid of the habits, beliefs, and all the negative things that's impacting your bottom line. Dissolve relationships that's detrimental to your company's health. Again, that's you Incorporated. And keep the company, you Incorporated, focused on, Ron said it, your goals, values, and ideals. Excuse me. And I'm going to end this with a closing quote of the day. Again, how can a sick man make a sick man well? How can a poor man make a poor man rich? So, with that being said, Ron, I don't believe he's going to call us, but I think we got all the questions answered. I love you, little cuz, and I'm going to leave my...
I love you too,
Absolutely. I'm going to leave the listeners with this. Head for the stars. I will meet you there.